The sun had only just risen over the New York skyline, its pale golden light spilling across the towering buildings, reflecting off the gleaming glass of the skyscrapers. At the NYPD training camp, the morning air was thick with tension. The recruits, clad in their signature navy blue uniforms, sprinted along the track, their boots pounding against the concrete. The sharp blast of the training whistle echoed, urging them to move faster, push harder. Amid this disciplined scene, a sleek, black limousine glided silently into the compound. The recruits continued their drills, but their curious glances flickered toward the main gate. The car door opened, and a man stepped out, his golden hair catching the sunlight, almost glowing. It was none other than Donald Trump. His presence immediately sent a ripple of murmurs through the ranks. Some recruits hesitated for a brief moment before refocusing on their training, but their intrigued gazes remained. "What's going on?" one recruit whispered. "What's he doing here?" Trump did not rush. He surveyed the area with a faint smile, his sharp eyes scanning each face as if searching for something. Within seconds, a high-ranking officer strode toward him, snapping a crisp salute. "Mr. Trump, it's an honor to have you here. Who would you like to see today?" The officer asked, his voice laced with respect. Trump crossed his arms, nodding slightly. "I'd like to meet one of your recruits, Ava Martinez. A soul." The name rang out in the bustling air. A few recruits exchanged glances. Ava Martinez was no stranger at the academy. The young woman, small in stature but brimming with strength, was one of the top trainees of the current class. But what truly set her apart was her background. Ava had grown up in a crime-ridden neighborhood in South Bronx, where the police were not welcomed but rather seen as the enemy. She had witnessed too many horrors, friends pulled into gangs, families torn apart by street violence. Yet, instead of harboring resentment, Ava had chosen a different path. She wanted to stand on the side of justice. She wanted to be part of the system, to change it from within. But why would Donald Trump want to meet her? Ava was in the middle of push-ups when a trainer approached. "Martinez, on your feet. Someone wants to see you." She sprang up quickly, wiping the sweat from her brow, and made her way toward Trump. All eyes were on her, curiosity and skepticism thick in the air. Trump studied Ava for a long moment, as if assessing her. Then he flashed a knowing smile. "Young lady, take a walk with me." Ava swallowed hard. She had no idea what awaited her. They walked slowly along the academy grounds, where other recruits continued their grueling exercises under the watchful eyes of their instructors. Ava maintained an upright posture, fully aware of every step she took. Trump, on the other hand, seemed at ease. He casually placed his hands in the pockets of his coat, his sharp eyes continuously scanning everything around him. "Do you know why I'm here?" Trump spoke, his voice deep and authoritative. Ava shook her head. "No, sir. I'm just an ordinary recruit." Trump let out a light chuckle. "Ordinary? I don't think so. I've read your file, Ava. You're not just an outstanding recruit, you have an incredible story." Ava felt her heartbeat quicken. Why was he interested in her? She wasn't special, at least not compared to the kind of people Trump usually associated with. She was just a girl from the Bronx, someone trying to change her own fate. Trump stopped and turned to face her, his gaze piercing. "Do you know what makes a great leader?" Ava thought for a moment. The ability to lead, decisiveness, and loyalty. Trump nodded. "Yes, but there's something even more important: determination. You grew up in an environment where many would have fallen, but you didn't give up. You chose the harder path, but also the nobler one. That's why I'm here." Ava blinked, caught off guard by Trump's words. He wasn't just here to meet her, he was here to test her, to see if she truly deserved the path she had chosen. The air grew tense as Trump continued. "I have a small test for you, Martinez. A real challenge. Are you ready?" Ava clenched her fists. Nothing could make her back down. "I'm ready, sir." Trump led Ava to another section of the academy, where recruits regularly trained for high-risk scenarios. Today, the training area had been set up to resemble a dark alley, with flickering lights simulating the dangers of the city streets. Other recruits gathered around, their eyes eager with anticipation. The instructor signaled, and immediately the suspect, an officer in disguise, appeared at the end of the alley. The moment he saw Ava, the man turned and ran. Without hesitation, Ava sprinted after him, her strong legs propelling her over obstacles, an iron fence, a low wall, an abandoned car blocking the path. The sound of footsteps echoed on the cement. Her breath was heavy but controlled. Ava quickly assessed the situation, scanning her surroundings for an advantage. Suddenly, the suspect spun around, pulling out a gun, a training simulation weapon. Ava reacted instantly. She didn't waste a second on fear or hesitation. She ducked behind a large trash bin, her right hand signaling for backup through a simulated radio. Trump stood at a distance, his eyes never leaving her. He watched every movement, how she controlled her breathing, maintained her composure, and prepared to confront the situation. A tense moment passed. Ava waited for the right opportunity. When the suspect let his guard down slightly, she sprang from her cover, subduing him with a swift and precise maneuver. The surrounding recruits couldn't hide their astonishment. They applauded as the suspect was locked down under her strength. Trump clapped slowly, a knowing smile forming on his lips. "Impressive, Martinez," he said, his voice deep and commanding. "But this is only the beginning." After the challenge, Ava and the other recruits were summoned to a briefing room. The air was thick with tension. Trump slowly opened his briefcase and placed a stack of documents on the table, bold letters reading Operation Shield. "This is why I'm here today," he said, his eyes sweeping across the room. "I am launching a special training program where recruits like you will help guide at-risk youth toward becoming better citizens." The recruits exchanged surprised glances. Ava narrowed her eyes. "Why us, sir?" Trump smiled. "Because you are the ones willing to step into hardship to create change. I want to see what you are capable of." Ava considered his words for a moment before nodding. "How will this program work?" Trump tapped his fingers on the stack of documents. "You will work in teams, organizing physical training, psychological support, and career guidance for youth from high-crime areas. You are not just future officers, you are mentors, leaders, and role models." Another recruit spoke up. "Will we receive additional training to work with these kids?" Trump nodded. "Yes, you will undergo specialized training with experts in psychology and social work. Most importantly, you will have the opportunity to make a real impact." Ava glanced around at her fellow recruits, noticing the growing sense of determination in their eyes. She realized this wasn't just another training mission, this was a chance to be part of something bigger than themselves. Trump lifted the stack of documents. "I'm not forcing anyone, but if you want to be part of this, sign here. We need people with strong spirit and unwavering resolve." A tense silence filled the room. Then, Ava picked up a pen and signed her name on the commitment form. A firm nod. "I'm in." One by one, the other recruits followed, each signing with newfound determination. Trump smiled in satisfaction. "Welcome to Operation Shield," he said, his voice deep and authoritative. "Now, let's get to work." A few days later, the training program entered a new phase. The recruits were assigned to mentor disadvantaged teenagers, kids who had strayed far in life but still had a chance to change. Ava was paired with Jamal, a 16-year-old boy with messy curls and sharp, wary eyes. His file stated clearly, previously arrested for theft, multiple school violations, at high risk of gang involvement. From their very first meeting, Jamal looked at her with a challenging gaze, as if testing the limits of Ava's patience. "I don't need your help, cop," he smirked, crossing his arms, his tone laced with sarcasm. Ava merely smiled, unfazed. "Good, because I'm not here to help. I'm here to work with you." Jamal raised an eyebrow, surprised by her response. Everyone who had ever tried to help him spoke in either pity or reprimands. But Ava was different. She didn't look at him like a troubled kid who needed to be saved. She saw him as a person worth understanding. At first, Jamal deliberately acted indifferent. He showed up late, paid little attention during exercises, and even tried provoking Ava with sharp words. But Ava never gave up. She didn't scold, she didn't force, she was just patient. She taught him how to control his emotions, how to think before he acted. "Emotions are a double-edged sword," she said during one training session. "You can let them control you, or you can learn to use them to your advantage." Jamal scoffed, but over time he started listening. One day, during a break, Ava accidentally saw a sketchbook slip out of Jamal's backpack. She picked it up, flipped through a few pages and froze. The drawings weren't just beautiful, they were full of raw emotion. Weary faces, dark alleyways, eyes that held entire stories. "You drew these?" she asked, genuinely surprised. Jamal snatched the sketchbook back, hiding it behind his back. "Don't touch it." Ava nodded, not pushing, but she couldn't hide her admiration. "Have you ever thought about pursuing art?" Jamal scoffed as if the idea was absurd. "Guys like me don't have a future." Ava was silent for a moment before looking straight into his eyes. "Maybe someone made you believe that, but I don't." For the first time, Jamal's gaze wavered. Maybe, after years of being judged, this was the first time someone truly believed he could be something more. A week later, Donald Trump arrived at a youth center, a place where troubled kids were given support to find their way back in life. He didn't bring an entourage or the media, only a few assistants keeping their distance, allowing privacy for the meeting. Inside the center, the air buzzed with conversations, laughter, and the rhythmic clicking of keyboards from the computer area. But in a quiet corner, a woman sat silently, her hands clasped together. She was Jamal's mother, Monica Carter, a black woman in her early 40s, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion from countless sleepless nights worrying about her son. She had worked tirelessly all her life, waiting tables, cleaning hotel rooms just to make sure her child never went without. But despite her efforts, Jamal had still strayed. She couldn't control him, and nothing hurt her more. When Trump walked in, she recognized him immediately. Not because of his fame or power, but because he carried the presence of a man who could shift the course of things with a single decision. "I've heard about Jamal," Trump began, his voice deep but firm. "The boy has talent, but he needs an opportunity." Monica swallowed hard, her hands tightening. "You have no idea how hard I've tried. I've done everything. But sometimes I feel like the world has already given up on him." Trump looked straight at her, not with pity, but with a sharp understanding of reality. He reached into his coat pocket, pulled out an envelope, and placed it on the table. "I don't believe in giving up on anyone." Monica hesitated before opening it. As she unfolded the letter and read the bolded words, her eyes widened in shock. It was a full scholarship acceptance letter from a prestigious art school in New York, an institution Jamal had never even dared to dream of. She covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. "Oh my God, I don't even know what to say." Trump simply nodded, his expression unchanged. "Don't thank me. Just make sure the boy takes this chance." Monica sobbed, but this time, it wasn't from despair, it was from hope, something she had nearly lost over the years. She looked at Trump and realized the man before her wasn't just a billionaire or a former president. He was someone willing to place faith in a child the world had abandoned. At that moment, Jamal walked into the room, his eyes immediately locking onto the envelope in his mother's hands. "What's going on?" Monica turned to her son, trying to steady her voice despite her trembling emotions. "Jamal, you have an opportunity." Jamal frowned, then turned to Trump, still filled with habitual skepticism from years of rejection. "What do you mean?" Trump didn't sugarcoat it. "I've seen your drawings. You have talent, but talent without opportunity is just a dream that never comes true. This is your ticket out of here, but it's up to you whether you use it." Jamal stared at the letter in his mother's hands, then back at Trump. For the first time in his life, he didn't know how to react. He had been pushed aside so many times, had learned not to expect anything. But now, standing in front of him was one of the most powerful men in America, handing him a chance he had never even considered possible. He swallowed hard, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why are you doing this?" Trump crossed his arms, his gaze sharp but sincere. "Because when I was young, someone believed in me when the world thought I would fail." The room fell silent. Monica looked at her son, hope flickering in her weary eyes. And then, Like a ray of light piercing through the darkness, Jamal nodded. I won't waste this chance. Trump smiled. Good. I expect you to prove it. On the final night at the academy, the sky stretched endlessly, filled with thousands of stars twinkling against the deep navy backdrop. The golden glow of the camp lights cast a quiet, reflective atmosphere. It was the last moment before the young recruits would graduate from the program and step into the world, carrying lessons not just about discipline, but about people, about trust, and about change. Ava Martinez sat on her bunk, a carefully folded piece of paper in her hands. Jamal had given it to her before the program ended, his expression unusually serious. Don't open it right away, he had said before walking away. Now, in the silence of the night, with only the soft rustle of the evening breeze, she unfolded it and read. The handwriting was rough, unpolished, but filled with sincerity, a kind of emotion Ava had never expected to receive from him. Ava, thank you for believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. No one had ever done that before. You didn't just teach me how to control my emotions or how to think before I act. You taught me that I could be more than that. Because of you, I applied to art school. I want to paint a new future, one that's not filled with dark alleyways or the invisible fears that used to haunt me. You changed my life, and I will never forget that. Jamal. Ava blinked, feeling a warmth rise in her chest, pride, emotion, and above all the certainty that what she had done was not in vain. A person had changed. A life had been given a chance. The next morning, as Donald Trump prepared to leave the academy, he sought her out one last time. He was as composed and confident as always, but there was something in his eyes that made Ava realize he had been watching this story unfold longer than she had thought. You did something incredible, Martinez, he said, his deep voice carrying weight. Ava shook her head, a soft smile on her lips. It wasn't just me. It was all of us. Trump smiled, a rare but genuine one. Yes, but every great team needs a leader. And you have potential. Don't ever lose that. Ava remained silent, feeling his words echo within her more than she had expected. The program ended, but Operation Shield, the mission to protect and give opportunities to the youth society had forgotten, was only just beginning. Yet, a true change had already been planted, not on paper, but in the hearts of those young people. And that, more than anything else, was the true meaning of leadership. For Jamal, a new chapter had opened, and this time he was the one holding the pen to sketch his own destiny. As for Donald Trump, he never spoke much about what he had done. There were no long speeches or grand media announcements. But behind the scenes, he continued to quietly support Operation Shield, funding more resources, connecting talented youth with mentors, and ensuring that opportunities weren't just empty promises. He understood that real change didn't come from slogans, but from silent actions, from placing a scholarship letter in the hands of a desperate mother, from offering a timely word of encouragement to a young recruit, from believing in those whom society had turned its back on. As the program expanded, more teenagers like Jamal found new paths, and Ava, along with others like her, continued doing what they did best, giving hope, one person at a time. And that, my friends, is the power of belief and opportunity. One small act can change an entire life. Jamal didn't just find his path, he proved that the past does not define the future. It is choices and perseverance that do. If you believe in inspiring stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another meaningful story. Let's spread positivity together and help the channel reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you for being part of this journey.